You know what time it is? It's Dale O'Clock. Hey YouTubers, diecast collectors, fellow J-Rods. I know this clock doesn't work and I mentioned it before in one of my videos, but it is still a cool clock even though the car just kind of sticks in one place and it just makes noise for a long period of time. But this clock doesn't work, but I just wanted to show it real quick. But I'm going to get that out of the way, and we're going to get into a really cool Dale Earnhardt review. Little fun fact about this haul: all this Dale Earnhardt stuff cost me less than $100. So yeah, believe it or not, I got all this Dale Earnhardt goodness for pretty cheap. Just that Peter Max car alone is worth about $200, if that gives you any idea. So I'm going to crack on into all this Dale Earnhardt goodness, starting with this silver and orange car. Now, this is not as nice of an action piece as some of the other ones, but it's an alright model. I still give this about a 6 or 7 out of 10. Now, the paint on the outside is some really cool silver and orange, which signifies its 25th anniversary win at the Winston Cup. You have all your sponsors on the side here. You can see highly true value, RCA, you get your number 3 Goodwrench, you got mom and pops on the back here. Then on the front you got the headlights, the fake headlights, and then you got your chrome here on the front, the front intake, and then you got your Goodwrench right there. On the side here, Goodyear Eagle on the tires. It's a pretty nice model. You can see the interior right there. 25th anniversary. On the back here you got Quick Lube, number 3 Chevrolet. So yeah, all in all, there's the outside. Pretty nice exterior paint finish. And if I open the hood, you have an alright amount of engine detailing. It's not an Elite Edition, but it's still a pretty nice model. But it's still alright. Then underneath here, you get the hood hinges, which are dog legs. They're the older hood hinges. They're not the cast pins like the newer action models. And the front suspension works. It's kind of stiff, but does work, and the front steering actually works on here. I don't think it's connected to the steering wheel. It's not. The steering wheel is solid, so it's not connected to the wheel. And then the trunk here, you got a fuel cell and stuff, so it is piped in and all that, so that's pretty good. The underside, there's not much to see, and the headers are not individual cast pieces, but it's still pretty nice. So, I would like to get an Elite Edition of this car. Alright, so moving on, I'm going to go on to the 75th anniversary win. This is the 75th win of Dale Earnhardt. This one has the battle scars, and this actually came with some confetti bags with the car. So it's a pretty cool model. But over here you can see it's got the scrapes, his sponsors, got 3M on the side, Winston Cup, Bud, 76, Hearst, from what I can see on this side here. Then you got Edelbrock, Simpson, Clevite, Detroit Locker, 76 fuel. And you got Burger King on the back here. I'm not sure about the sponsor logo. And you got more scrapes on the back here. You got the Speedway spoilers on here, which are the specialty of this special things in this model. And then you have Goodwrench right here on the hood, Monte Carlo on the front. You got your chrome, your individual etched parts here, which are actual chrome. You got the front intake. This is a pretty nice model. And then right here you got your other sponsors. You got 3M, True Value, Winston Cup, Bud, Gatorade, Autometer, Mechanics Wear, Nomex. You got his sponsors. They put everything on these cars back in the day pretty much. A lot more simplistic nowadays with NASCARs compared to all these sponsors they used to run on them. Snap on right here. Purdue, real tree. Same sponsors as most of the Earnhardt cars, except this one's a little bit more special. Burger King, and then this other sponsor, I don't know what it is. It's just small to read. And then the hood does open on this model. Underneath, you got a good amount of hood under engine detailing, and it's not just a chrome motor like the silver and orange one I had. There is a fair amount of wiring done on the motor. Although the radiator line is not a braided steel line, it's just your standard plastic fuel radiator line. It's not as detailed, but it's still pretty cool. But the motor, it's pretty detailed. If I can get in here, I get my camera to focus. But it's a pretty nice engine nonetheless. So yeah, pretty nice Earnhardt model. And then underneath it says Goodwrench Service Plus. I said Press. Whoops. Interior is pretty nice. Nicely done. And then I go to the other side here, and it's got a plastic window liner, not the fabric one most of the newer Actions run. And the steering wheel does steer with the front wheels, I believe. It actually doesn't. So I think on the older models, the steering wheel doesn't actually steer with the front wheels. So most of the older Actions, I don't think they do. Anyway, the suspension does work, which is a plus. Trunk opens. Fuel cell detailing is pretty nice on this one. Red painted. It's not painted red on the silver and orange one. And the Speedway spoiler actually has individual screws in it. So does the one on the roof right here. And this one has an orange number 3 on it, which is kind of cool. Which is a little different on this one. So yeah. So all in all, nice detailing. And the hood pins are actual, I think they're cast in. So that's pretty nice. Chrome's a little faded on them though, unfortunately. This is an older model, but it's still pretty nice. Underneath, you got your cast headers, which are a little different on this one. They actually did bother to cast the headers in pretty well. And then there's a lot of detailing. Steering bars are actually done, so they did a good job with all the models. It's all this model at least. So yeah, it's a pretty nice model. And then tires are actually scuffed like they would be on a used race car. Suspension in the back actually doesn't work, but it's pretty nice nonetheless. Drive shaft is not a individual cast piece right here. It is more of a solid piece that is actually in, that is not cast, that is cast into the metal, I believe. Yeah, I think it's cast into the metal actually. So there are a few differences between the regular edition of Action, the lower end edition, and now the Elite edition. So there's a little bit of a difference, and this is kind of your more run-of-the-mill. This isn't the lower end, this is right in the middle. So it's a pretty nice model. All in all, I would say I give this about a 9.5 out of 10. It's a pretty well done model. Now on to the next silver and orange car. I'm saving my favorite for last. Well, the pit card is really going to be last, but I'm going to save the other favorite for after this one's done. Now, this is a 1/18th. It's pretty, God, this thing's heavy. I always forget how heavy these 1/18ths are, and I'm always careful with them. But yeah, this is the silver and orange one. Again, same sponsors, Mom and Pops, Goodwrench, Snap-on. Get your standard run-of-the-mills. You got Winston Cup, Unicall, True Value, Goodies, Holly, Western Auto. Western Auto is a little different. Bowman, RCA, Clevite 77. And then you got JE and all these in the front. It's a little bit different than the other car. So there's more sponsors in the front. So this is another 25th anniversary car. It's very well done. And this car is actually worth quite a bit of money. Detailing is not as nice on this one as the one that I'm saving for next. There's the headlights, number 3. And again, on the other side, same sponsors. I don't have to bother with those. I won't bore you with reading them all. Good wrench again, snap on. And then the 25th decal. Again on the back with quick lube. Good wrench. Okay, so moving on. The suspension does work all around. Suspension works in the front, and the suspension does work in the back, as with all the 1/18ths. That's nothing new, because I have a 1/18th Earnhardt black and white edition, so that's really nothing new. And actually this comes out of a friend's collection, my outlands friend Ken, who had to get rid of his stuff, unfortunately. So, I'm going to go on here, and I'm going to get onto the underside detailing of the hood. Get this open finally. There we go. Unfortunately, these hood hinges don't like to stay open on this one. I don't know what it is with this example. But here's the underside detailing of the motor. It is pretty well done. Some things are a little blocky. I mean, most 1/18th nowadays would sweep the floor on detailing with this model. But things have changed so much anyhow. But it's still a pretty nice example of a well done model. And you can kind of see through to the firewall. So there's a lot of things that a lot of companies nowadays wouldn't do. I mean, my green light model kind of is a lot more detailed than this, but it's still pretty cool to have this addition in my collection. So yeah, if I can get the camera right here, I can get it to focus. There you go, there is all the motor detailing. And I think it does actually have spark plug wires in it. I believe so. But yeah, there's the motor detailing. So yeah, there's that. And the steering wheel is, I believe, connected to the front wheels, I would hope. Really, the steering wheel is not connected? Wow. Come on, action. That was kind of a little cheapo. That's okay. I have seen nicer NASCAR models in 1/18th. Or I think I've heard of them. Well, they really didn't make a lot, so I'm not sure if they have anything nicer, but it's an okay model. Roof flaps actually work. And I'll move on to the trunk. And there's the fuel cell. Linings piped in. It's an okay model. It's not the best, but for 1/18th it's okay. I've had better 1/18th though. Suspension works. But it's nice to have this rare edition in my collection. I like it. Headers are individually cast, showing the underside here. Underside detailing really is where it's at with these. They actually didn't do a bad job. Screw hole in the bottom. Transmission. Well, a lot of that wouldn't be done nowadays. It would all be done with pegs and glue. There's the rear. You got fuel lines, so they do a lot of specific work, and the brake rotors actually do spin through the wheels, the drums, the brake drums. That's pretty good. And the brake drums spin through the calipers. Sorry, my bad. Anyway, they got the lines piped in, so they do a good job with this. All in all, I would say I give this model about a 9.5 out of 10 for 1/18th. There's really not a lot of people that make 1/18th models, so these kind of stand in a league of their own. Whoops, I hope I didn't scratch anything. Please tell me I didn't. Shoot. Don't think so. I think that was there before. Okay, so moving on to the Peter Max. This one is absolutely my favorite because I like Peter Max. He was a good artist. He did a lot of work for, I believe, the Beatles. I'm not exactly sure, but he was a very famous artist. Unfortunately, a lot of people consider him a capitalist, but that remains to be debated amongst a lot of people. He is kind of a capitalist. He sells art for a lot of money, but his art is pretty nice. Gotta be honest. His psychedelic touch is really cool. I like what he does. So, this one, yeah, I got it for pretty cheap. This was out of that collection. So on the outside here, you got Peter Max, you got Burger King, Goodwrench Service, Snap-on, Fox Sports, Purdue, Winston Cup, True Value, Bud, Holly, 3M, Hearst, Gatorade, Comp, 76, Bowman, Autometer, Jessel, Nomax, EA Sports, and Hasbro. So EA Sports and Hasbro are a little bit different. On the outside, you got Clevite, Simpson, Edelbrock, Detroit, Plasticoat, and 76. And on here, you got Bass Pro, Team Realtree, and Coca-Cola. On the hood, it says Goodwrench Service Plus. Again, with the same sponsors panning down this side. Nothing different. Same ones. And then that sponsor, which I have no idea what the heck that is. We Care. Sorry, that's We Care. Okay, I finally read it. So this model is a pretty rare edition. There weren't that many of these made. There were about 3,000 of these made, to be honest. And you can't find these very easily. I mean, you can, you just got to look hard, and they're usually expensive, but I didn't pay that much. I paid about, I'm not sure, maybe $10 for it. Not too bad. And it had the box, so yeah. Anyway, going on to the underside of the hood, you have the Goodwrench logo. And then the engine is pretty detailed. They do a good job on this motor. I mean, for action, it's okay. They're alright. I mean, I wouldn't consider this most detailed, but it is probably the most expensive model and 1/18th by action you can buy. I mean, Beckett lists this model at 100, so that's pretty, at 200 actually, so that's pretty significant profit you can make off of this car if you bought it for $10 like I did. Of course, I'm not going to sell it. So yeah, detailing is pretty nice, and the suspension does work all around as you would expect. And then you got the front end here, which is pretty detailed. It's not a solid piece like that other one was. And the paint job ain't too bad either. I don't know if you noticed. So yeah, I like this paint job a lot. And as usual, the roof flaps do actually come up. I don't know if I can get the other one up. I don't know why. That one's sticking. It's not coming up. And then they actually have the black underneath. Like the other one had the window underneath, but this one has all the black underneath it. So must be a newer edition 1/18th action. And the hinges on this one are a lot more solid. I don't know what it is with these. Although I'm sure they'd succumb to a gravity effect since they're just your standard dogleg hinges, unlike the hinge pins. And I believe on this one, no, steering wheel is not attached. The interior is pretty nice though. There's a lot of detailing in there. I mean, a fair amount. They do a decent job. Not picking this model apart. I don't really pick all the 1/18th apart, but when you consider some of the detail, the strides we made in 1/18th now for the money, I mean, I kind of do a little bit. And then the underside here, fuel cell, trunk. Pretty decently done. But there's that. And now I will get onto the underside. The suspension, of course, in the back does work. Under here you got the same exact detailing as the other one. Got the radiator cooler over here, the radiator. So there's the cooler right there. I didn't notice that. I guess they have a separate cooler or something for the radiator, or transmission cooler. Not sure what that is exactly. So the detailing is well done. The exhaust headers are cast. And the drive shaft is actually a separate piece on this one. And you can see there's suspension pieces there which work. So yeah, suspension does work all around, which is nice. So yeah, and like I said, it's a nice model. I'd probably give this one a 10 out of 10. This is probably my favorite. I mean, just based on paint job and all that alone, I would say I give this model a 10 out of 10. I'm going to put this back, and we're going to move on to the last thing. And that's my favorite model out of everything here. That is the pit cart. And this is just your standard pit cart. It does roll. It rolls, and when you take the front end off here, it steers. It does steer here. And you got good wrench here on the side, number 3. Got Bass Pro, this decal, good wrench, snap-on, Purdue, Nabisco, AC Delco, Team Realtree, Coca-Cola, and Burger King. And you got Richard Childress on the side. In the back you got Goodwrench, Burger King, RCR, and Chevrolet. And on the side here you got the same sponsors. So this is a pretty nice pit cart. Wheels roll and all that. Then the underside has this little key, and you can put money in this. And it's just got your standard key door with a lock that you can open. I guess I can open it for you. It opens, as you can see. So that's pretty cool. So this pit cart's pretty neat. I mean, I'd say in terms of banks, this is my favorite bank since I like Earnhardt so much. So I'd say I'd probably give this one a 10 out of 10. I mean, there's really no much detail to it, but it's still a pretty cool bank. Alright guys, well, that has been my full, awesome, amazing Dale Earnhardt review. Probably the best Dale Earnhardt review I've ever given, and the most 1/18th and 1/24th I've had in a review. Well, the most expensive stuff I've ever had in a review, maybe. I don't know. I've had some pretty good ones, but this is probably my favorite. But anyway, if you like Dale Earnhardt, if you like NASCAR, if you like YouTube channels dedicated to diecast, make sure you rate, make sure you comment down below, make sure you hit the notification bell, and make sure you subscribe. Alright, my fellow J-Rods, I'm out. Have a good one. Peace.